Angelo, do you want to jump in and give us a breakdown on OpenEye Cloud Video Platform?
Thank you, Francois. Thank you, Ryan, for that nice introduction, and to the whole FD team and Henny. My name's Angelo Salvatore. I work for OpenEye. For those of you who don't know me, and I'm probably not well known in South Africa, I've been involved in this industry for a very long time now. I'm looking a lot greyer than in my photo there. I was a bit younger, but I've been doing this for around 20 years now. And my background really has been video management systems, and that's where I've spent a big part of my career, and I brought Milestone into Australia in 2001 in distribution, and successfully launched it in 2009 as an office for Milestone. So we headquartered ourselves out of Melbourne, Australia. I've been involved in a lot of surveillance projects. We've installed over 250,000 channels in my career. So I've got a bit of experience in the local market, and also had experience working in non-local markets throughout Asia, and especially in India, where we installed thousands and thousands of site channels. And that's what really interested me, is that I was seeing that there was a big gap between what traditional video management systems could do in the marketplace and what customers actually required. And what we found was that there was a big gap, and that's why I joined OpenEye as a product. And I'm going to talk about those advantages. Now, talking about OpenEye specifically, you may not have heard of the company, but it's been around for around 20 years now, so it's not a new organization. And just recently we were purchased by Alarm.com in Q3 of last year, and Alarm.com is one of the world leaders in cloud alarm management, and also doing video as well now. They do analytics, they do alarm system integration into multitude of panels, and they do it all with very clever cloud software. But they're mainly focused in the residential and consumer market, whereas we're more focused in the SMB/commercial market. So we make a good team, and we've got the backing and resources to really energize our development moving forward. One of the other things that I'd like to mention is that the reason why I joined OpenEye is we've basically solved the biggest problem with video management systems first. And some of the things that we see on a daily basis with video management systems will ring true, and I'll show you how well we've solved those issues. And the key component to solving this is a product called OpenEye Web Services, or you'll hear me call it OWS. It's our one pane of glass, or our one view of the world of our system or our installation/installations, depending on how many you have. And it gives you a secured managed video platform. And when we talk about cloud, we often hear a lot of different terminologies around the word cloud and what it means, and so on and so forth, and it can get a little bit confusing. So what I'm going to do now is actually explain to you the different cloud video models that are available and where OpenEye as a product fits in, so that you can get a clear picture before we start the demonstration later what we're actually trying to do. So you've probably seen this slide here, which is direct cloud recording, where someone would grab a camera, link it up to a cloud service of some sort, and then be able to use an iPhone app or an Android app and be able to view that video directly from their phone, and the video would be stored in the cloud. There's no real management features, it's quite simple. This is not what OpenEye does. And then a little bit of more of an advanced version of that device, and you've probably seen some of these technologies in the industry, where it's exactly the same, but somehow they put this little buffer device to account for poor internet connections. Because if you don't have a good internet connection, and we heard earlier that that there's some big challenges sometimes getting good bandwidth, you need some sort of third-party buffer device that acts as that go-between to allow for those poor connections. But the technology is essentially the same. This is not what we do either. And then this technology here is recording at the edge with cloud management. So it's similar to what we do, not quite, and it's not what we do today. We may look at this in the future, but it still is not the exact model that we represent. Now this slide here actually is the correct model, and you'll see that the cloud is part of the solution, not the solution. We have a device in the middle, which is an endpoint, or for a better word, NVR/cloud server, and it records the cameras directly. So you're not limited by bandwidth, by frame rate, by resolution. It records that all directly. It's not streaming the video over the internet. It actually uses the cloud to manage it. And this is what the architecture will look like. So you'll have your local site with your recorder. You can view locally if you choose, and I'll show you how that works. And then you'll have some sort of remote access either through a web browser, through a client, one of our thick clients called the command station, or through your mobile phone, and all managed by that umbrella of the cloud. So what we do is we've taken the most complex part of video management system, put it in the cloud to make it easy for you to manage unlimited sites without the complexity. And this is where the complexity comes in. If you look at this diagram of traditional VMSs, this is how normally you would try to log into a traditional VMS. You'd come in through some sort of remote client or mobile client, connect into the internet, then you'd have to have some sort of static IP address, punch some holes through the firewall to let you in, and then get access to that video. Now that's okay if you're just doing one site, but if you were trying to manage 50 sites or 100 sites or 1,000 sites, it becomes untenable. And this is the Achilles heel of traditional VMS systems, because then what you would do in sites, especially that don't have high camera counts per site, is how would you manage them all without putting heavy hardware on every single site? It becomes very tech heavy, very hard to maintain. And there's really not an appetite at this commercial level for customers to spend thousands of dollars on servers and then federation and SQL and IIS and all of those technologies that make it all work. We eliminate all of this. So 80% of the complexity disappears with OpenEye. And this is the way we do it. You'll see it looks very similar. It's not too different, except to see the connection is not inbound now, it's outbound. So what happens is the OpenEye recorder will establish an outbound connection to the OWS platform. The OWS platform will say, yep, I know who you are. We don't need to have special firewall rules. We don't have to have static IP addresses. We don't have to have port forwarding. And then it allows connection back into those recorders. Video is streamed only when requested. So you're not just dumping a whole lot of video data costing a lot of money in bandwidth when it's not necessary. But what we eliminate is the need for all that IT complexity. Not even one static IP address is required to make this system work. So if you had 100 sites, imagine how simple it would be to just plug it in, put it on the internet, and then have instant access of all of your sites through this one pane of glass that I mentioned a bit earlier. Now, sometimes we are on a local site, or we might have a control room, or we might want to use a system locally. Well, we support that as well. So if you wanted to access the system locally, and you can see here a computer's trying to access the video through the OpenEye recorder there, what happens is that the cloud still will authenticate because it has the ultimate control, unless we have a local account set up, and it says, yep, you're right to go, and then you'll see the orange arrows there allows the video stream to stream over the local internet, not even touching the local network, not even touching the internet. So a direct connection is made. So we don't even need the internet to make this work. So that's just part of the flexibility that comes in and removal of that complexity. So what are the differences between what we're doing and a traditional VMS? I'm not saying there's something wrong with traditional VMSs, but I think that they have their place. And the bigger sites, the larger camera counts is where they're much better suited. Where you start to scale out to lots of sites, lots of clients, it starts to become a little bit of an IT burden. And that's where we come in. We reduce that IT burden. I'm calling it at about 80% reduction in complexity to get a multi-site installation set up with OpenEye as compared to some traditional VMSs out there. And we talked about the network connectivity. You don't need inbound ports, you don't need firewalls, you don't need port forwarding. If you wanted to access the system, you don't need to set up a TeamViewer session, remote desktop. All of that disappears immediately. Imagine updating your system through one pane of glass. I know from personal experience, if you've got 20 sites, you have to do 20 remote sessions or 20 location access to, through TeamViewer to go in and update the system. And then when you update the system, the operating system needs an update, and then something else needs an update, and pray that something doesn't crash in the whole process. We remove all of that complexity. One pane of glass, click update, it'll update your recorders. And so that optimizes the whole experience for efficiency, and the video sharing is one of the things that I really love that I'll show you, and you'll be amazed that VMS companies traditionally haven't even sorted this simple problem out in their feature set, which will be quite interesting for me to show you. And I talked about enterprise management. We don't have special servers, so you don't need to buy an enterprise server to manage all of your sites. We take care of that. There's no licensing. We take care of that. And so if you wanted to add one user to 30 sites, it would take me literally less than a minute to do that. Try and do that with a traditional video management system. You'll need federation, you'll need to have some sort of licensing, you'll have to have gateways. The list goes on and on and on. For those of you who have done it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. We just have a single sign-on, roaming profiles, you've got access to those sites. We can remove access instantly. It's done at the flick of a button in the cloud. And of course, Ruan talked about enhanced business intelligence. We work very closely with the Hanwha product to get some of those metrics back into our system from the cameras, as well as from the hardware that's out there. So we know when things are operating, when they're not operating, we get real-time health and so on. So one of the things you'll find with a lot of cloud offerings out there is that there's a lack of choice and there's some sort of proprietary element to it. The nice thing about OpenEye is that it's completely open, and we work very closely with our partners. Hence today, you see the three partners here today through FD, Hanwha, and OpenEye talking in the same presentation. And we also do the same thing with operating systems. We don't limit you to a Windows operating system. You have the choice of using Linux, and it has its own advantages for doing that. We don't limit you with hardware. You could use our hardware out of the box, or you could use something like a BCD type product that you could pick up from FD distribution. We don't limit you to what you use. And then what we have is a really good licensing model. We turn it into a subscription model. It's pay by the month, no yearly updates or support packs. I know from experience that some traditional VMS vendors will either charge you nothing for a yearly update and give you nothing, or charge you a percentage, upwards of 20%. For that update, and after 3 or 4 years, you've paid for that software, more than once, for those fees that you're paying. And often the complexity is so big that you don't update to stay in line with what you're paying for in those yearly support packs. So it's a bit of a trap there, with these multi-site installations. You don't have to worry about that with OpenEye. And the other thing is camera options. We have a full support for OpenEye cameras, on-VIF standards up to Profile S, multitude of IP cameras. We support HD analog through some of our recorder boxes, up to 8 megapixel analog cameras. And of course, what you'll see today is how well we integrate with Hanwha with the Edge Analytics. There's a really deep integration between the two companies. And you'll see how that turns into really good business intelligence and how easy it is to search for video and events on our system. So here's just a list of our partners. And as I said, for us, integration is a big thing. And apart from Hanwha, who we're partnering with today, we're very big on the control rooms. We support IMIX and MAS. So if you've got one of those systems or your control room is already enabled, we will talk directly to Mastermind as well, straight into that system. So you don't have to do any special integrations. There's no additional charges, and we do that. As well as alarm.com, which we do cloud-to-cloud integration with all of their systems. And we're doing other panels like InnerRange, which is a big access control company out of Australia, and all of the other camera and alarm panel type manufacturers that we work very closely with. So for today, I'd like to talk about everything, but we'll focus on a couple of key elements. The first part being the OWS that I've managed, that I talked about, which is the managed video surveillance, and how we manage all of those sites. I'm going to demonstrate that as well as the web client. And up until this stage, we're not installing any software. So I'll tell you when we actually install software. This is one of the things that people can't believe when they see this system, is that I'm not installing any software in this demonstration. And if you actually like the demonstration, you want to have a play with it and prove it to yourself, get in touch with the FD team, ask them for a login, and they'll organize for you to do exactly what I'm doing today, so that there's no difference between the experience that you'll see. And you won't have to install any software on your local machine. So that's using the web client. I'll also demonstrate the mobile client and be able to show you how well it works using a mobile device, and our thick client, which is our command station, which is your traditional VMS style look front end. And we'll see if we can get Henny online, and maybe you can demonstrate that for us, Henny, if all goes well, and we get some time in between the presentation to do that. Okay, so it looks like I can switch to the demo. I might just switch screens here for a second if you give me a moment, and I'll get you.
Angelo, while you're doing that, there was a question
Yes.
about data security. We've got quite strict or stringent data
Yeah.
security issues in South Africa. I don't know why
Yeah.
you're fiddling, if you could just address that.
Yes, sure. We're fully NDAA compliant. So we're a US-based company. So it's very strict on compliance. We're also GDPR compliant. All of the links that are established between recorders and the client are 256-bit encrypted. There's no master passwords to get into our system. Each level is independently protected. We have two-factor authentication. We also can enforce password strength depending on how hard we want to make a password length for a particular user to get into. So we've done absolutely everything we can. From a back-end system, we run on AWS infrastructure, which is as secure as we can get it. The servers are based in the US. We have a relay server in South Africa to improve the performance. So you'll be talking to the relay server in South Africa. Does that answer the question, Francois?
Yeah, perfect. I think the question also, a lot of these systems are sending information over the internet to weird foreign countries, but you guys will address that as you go through on your architecture. And you have mentioned that you don't do that. Your video stays on site.
The video stays on site. So that's one of the really nice things. You saw those cloud models that I showed you earlier. You're sending those often to foreign servers that you have no control over. All of the video that I'm going to show you is on site. We're taking it off site and putting it into our viewing platform. I'll tell you when the video is in the cloud and I'll show you, and that's more for sharing than it is for storage. So none of the video leaves the local site. So the security is there. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll show you a demonstration. I've already logged in and it takes me to this panel here, and these are the sites that I would have access to. If you were a channel partner, you could have access to all of your customers' site, and with special user rights, you could manage their sites for them. In this case here, I'm not a channel partner. I've just got access to our demo sites here. And you can see I've got my name here, I've got another one here, and here's our demo. It's orange because it says these are the sites that I have control over or access to, or that I've been granted access to. And I'll show you a little bit more about user rights and what you can and can't do. But just to get started, just to give you a little bit of a feel for how this works, I've clicked onto that one site and it takes me now into a blue bar here. So this says now I'm in a location where there's 3 recorders. And you can see here that I've got lots of menus here, which I'll go through. There's a lot of features here. It's hard to tell just looking at the screen, but there's a lot going on here. And if I wanted to just click and view some cameras, I just simply click connect on this particular site here. I just pick the first one, and you'll see how quickly the system just responds and comes up. Now, I hope that WebEx is doing us justice, but I can tell you it's super fast here. The video comes through at full frame rate, very fluid. If it's choppy and whatever it is, I can guarantee you it's not at my end. It'll be due to the WebEx. But I hope you can see now that the video has already come up. We're not streaming low resolution here, so I've left the on-screen display here. We're streaming at multi-megapixel resolution. I think it's 4 or 5 megapixel streaming in here for this car park. And just to show you the type of customer that would use this in the commercial space wants access to their video very quickly. They want access to their sites very quickly. They want to be able to play back video, find stuff super quick. Let me show you what that would look like. So all I do here is I click on search. Now, remember I said to you, we haven't installed any software. And up until this point, we have not installed one piece of software. This is being managed from the cloud. This video is coming from the recorder based in our Washington State demo room. You'll see here that the server is US. You'll see that there's no fixed IP address. We don't have an IP address here at all. Okay, you see that we're relaying that video data through the OWS. Okay, so we don't have to worry about port forwarding and punching holes through firewalls. We've got access to multiple grid views, so I can set up the grid however I like. I can set up my streaming. I can turn it into automatic, or if I've got no bandwidth, I can go low quality, or we'll work it out for you on the fly. So it's very simple to use. There's not a lot of complexity here. And then we have tools that we build down the bottom here. And these tools will keep expanding as we improve the product and add more features. And I'll give you an example of one of these particular tools. If I click on this thumbnail one down the bottom right-hand corner here, left-hand corner, you'll see that it's giving me instant access to some thumbnails over a 24-hour period in this car park. Now, I don't know how quickly it showed up at your end, but here it was instant. And one of the feedback things we get is usually these web products are very slow, they're clunky, there's a lot of delay. I'm not seeing any delay here at all, and I hope you're seeing the same experience. It's super fast. And, you know, looking at a car park is a typical scenario that, you know, a customer may say they want to do, and they want to find something that happened with a particular vehicle. In this case here, I can pick a car over the last 24 hours. This is our car park in the US. And say, for example, this one here on its own, I click on this particular car here. Now, I'm just clicking the tile, not specifically the car. And it's now said we can bring that car into a 3-hour timeline. And you can see here that there's a car here and not here. So I just click on that same tile that still has the car. We're down to a 25-minute timeline. There's no car here, there's a car here. Click on that timeline again. You can see now we're down to a 3-minute. Click on that car again. Takes us instantaneously to the playback timeline. And now I can expand the timeline, bring it back, okay? And I will have now instant video of this car coming down. I've used video management systems all of my life, and I can tell you some hardwired systems don't perform as good as this does using a thin client without one piece of software installed. Now, I hope you're seeing this. I'm seeing it in real time. There's no jitteriness, there's no delay, it's quick. And you can see here the person's opening the door. If I wanted to zoom into the video, you can see we're not playing around with low resolution video here. It's actually very high resolution video. So we're not doing a demo in very low resolution to make it look like it's quick. You can see here the data's for you to see so that there's nothing there. The second thing customers ask for is, well, how quick can we export this footage? And this is the other benefit of this technology. All I do is export the footage, and I can pick between a single camera, multi-camera. I can take a video snapshot, so I can take a photo, or I can archive it off to one or more storage locations. In this case, to keep it simple for the demo, I just click single camera, and you can see here it gives me the start time for where my timeline is. And just to make it a little bit quicker for the interest of the demo and time, I'll make it 30 seconds. I can change the video quality on the fly. I can work out who my intended audience is for that video quality, and I can include audio. I click next, and then it says put in a title, and I might put utility car park. Okay, and then I could put a description, or I can export it to my local machine as well if I wanted to. But for this case, we're talking about the cloud, so let me start the export. Now you're probably wondering, where did that all go? It just looked like the screen returned to normal. You'll see this little icon has appeared here telling us that there's uploads in progress. If I click on this little icon that's appeared, you'll see another screen is presented now with the upload happening. And this is the upload manager. If there was 10 people uploading at the same time, what a great interface to manage all of those uploads. I can just highlight the camera there, and you can see it gives me a quick snapshot of what it is that I'm exporting. I can click on that actual line, and it gives me more of a larger view, and it gives me relevant detail for that specific snapshot. Now, just to show you that this is all happening in real time, you'll see that that is complete. What I'm going to do now is, if I wanted to share that footage, how easy would it be for me to share that footage? Let me just take you back one step. This is all web browser driven. There's no software installed yet, guys, so this is just out of the box. I click on video, video clips, and what you'll see is when this list populates in a few seconds, you'll see at the top of the list will be the one that we just exported. Okay, and there's the utility car park. Okay, and if I don't remember what it was, I can just highlight my mouse, and it will give me a snapshot of that. It's also got some notes there if I wanted to put some notes and some details of who's the owner of it. But to view that, I would just click on view. Now this video is in the cloud. So this is the only time that the video is in the cloud. Not before, not when we were showing it playing back and all of that, only at this point here. Okay, and so just bear with me, my internet's just a bit slow for the second. Yeah, my internet's just stopped for a second, guys. Can you still hear me? You can? There it is there. Sorry, my internet's just glitched up here. So here's the car coming into the car park. Okay, you'll see it there. I click play, and I don't know about you, but I can see it coming in real time. It's very smooth, very fluid. You'll see that car pulling up to the car park exactly as we watched it before. Now, if I were to do this on a traditional VMS and I wanted to save this or share it, I'd have to put it on a thumb drive, burn it to a DVD, or burn it somewhere, then try and email it off. We do that all from the interface of the cloud. So if I wanted to share this footage, I could just come in here and look up a particular user or add a manual user. In this case, I'll look up Henny because we know he exists as a person on the system. We click on Henny and now select, and as simple as that, now he's now in the list to receive it. We can put an expiration date on that footage. We can allow him to download the clip, and we'll put some text in there so that he knows what this is all about. And I'll share that with him. Okay, now Henny, you're hearing me now. Once you've received that video, could you just let us know and tell me when you viewed it, and we'll show the audience what happens once you've viewed that footage.
Sure.
And so
Angela, I've just viewed it already.
Yes, okay, beautiful. So you see here how it says view 0. I will know that Henny has viewed that when I refresh my screen. And you'll see there how quickly it's responded, and I've got the 1 there. So that just shows you how interactive this is. So if you're sharing video, you've now got an audit trail of how often someone has seen it, whether they've downloaded it, and he hasn't downloaded it yet. That's okay, you don't have to download it, Henny, but just to show the example of how quickly that works. Okay, now, you've seen how quick we can share video footage. We could do that to one person, to a group of people, and so on. And I'll show you that on the next one. So if I connect back into my site, let me show you what we do with Hanwha. And this is where it starts to get really exciting. If I wanted to search for some footage, and you saw the live and search is very simple, except instead of this time searching for a thumbnail, let's search for a particular event. Okay, and you see here are some of the analytics that we've included in our configuration. It's not limited to this. We do mask detection and a few other ones that Hanwha offer. If we, for example, we're looking for line crossing, it's a really easy one to show. And I wanted to do line crossing, and I might come back, I don't know, a day or so, and I might put in here, say 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., something like that. And I click search. That metadata came back so quickly, it's faster than most hardwired systems. I haven't installed anything, guys. This is out of the box. This is how close the integration is with Hanwha. Straight out of the box. We haven't done anything crazy to get this going. And so you see here, we're getting a lot of events and tripwires, okay? And I can now keep scrolling down, look at how many events we've populated through. Now, if I was looking for a specific event here, say for example, there was someone that came out of this doorway here, and I click on this event, you see how quickly it populates this screen here and gives me some thumbnails, and it tells me what it was. At 3:01, there was a line crossing at cafe entry, and you can see that it gives us some thumbnails, and that's what these blue dots are, of that person walking through. Now we've identified the person, we can click on play video, and bang, we're back at the playback console. And you can see how well that synchronized that person. If I bring my timeline back just a little bit here, you see that now I can play that person coming out of the door. Okay, yes, I can zoom in, yes, I can zoom out, and it's fluid at my end, guys. It's not missing a beat, it's super fluid. And then I can now export this event, okay, the same way we did the other one, and I'll just put in here 30 seconds, make it quick. You don't have to see all of that. We've seen this before. And I'll just pull event in the cafe, Hanwha, okay, because that's a Hanwha analytic that's picked that up, okay, and we can export that footage. We know that up the top here in a second is going to appear our upload manager, and it's going to be exporting that footage to the cloud. Okay, so just give it a second, you'll see that appear. There it is there. And if I highlight it, it'll tell you, there's the upload manager. Okay, now, while that's uploading, let's go back one step. You're familiar now with the video and where we store our video clips. These are the cloud video clips. As soon as it dumps that list